How's it going? My name's Sage Ortiz. I was born in New York, Washington Heights. I moved to Florida when I was a kid. I've been living in West Palm Beach for about, give or take, a good 10 years now. Uh, where I was raised, pretty much here, West Palm kind of taught me about everything in my life, pretty much, like everything I've known, the people I've known. Uh, you know, it's home to me right now, so yeah. Growing up, it was interesting. Like, I guess I didn't really have like that typical like mother-father thing. I didn't have my dad in my life type thing. My mom was kind of like a single mother for like a little bit in her life until like she had my stepdad. You know, like growing up, my parents weren't really like creative people, so you know sometimes people get that like inspiration from their family members. Sometimes their pops or their mom is like an artist or something like that, and it usually develops into that in their future. But for me, like art, creativity, like wasn't something that was in my household nor like in my family. Like, so that, I guess, like in that aspect of like how I wanted to develop my career and what I wanted to do was a little difficult to like navigate through, especially as like a kid, because I was always into like the games, and you know, like I played like the card games and that stuff, and like nobody was into that in my fam or nothing like that. So kind of the shit I was doing was just like the odd like the outlier, you know what I mean? I just felt like different in that aspect because everyone was like kind of doing like the generic status quo type of thing in the fam. But yeah, the creativity kind of developed from myself. You know, there's no real inspiration from the fam, but I love them though. So at first, like when I was in like high school, I was like kind of thinking like further ahead. I wasn't really like in that moment. So what I thought about like as a career, I thought like in the sense of like as a kid, I was always into like video games. I was always into like comics and reading like superheroes and all that shit, and like it led to just like me always being into like what was that like behind the scenes, like what was the process that it took to create those animations and things like that. So at first I actually wanted to be like a design major. Like I wanted to just be like designing cartoons and doing like video games and shit like that. But it started getting into more of a creative thing when I actually started picking up photography and really started developing like that art form, because it brought out like a different sense of like self, in the sense of like the lens was what I saw, and designing was something like I can create based off something else, like an idea. So I guess like both of those aspects kind of like collided and blended in together to create that love to get on Photoshop and just make whatever I want, whether it's like a design or I used to do like banners for Twitter and stuff like that for people, and like logos and that kind of thing. Like it, you know what I mean? It built off itself just off those two things, like the blend of photography, the blend of design, graphic design. So I think it's just the way that like I view the world differently, I guess. Like I try to like think about the ins and out of it rather than just like that surface level of it. So I don't know, art kind of like does that, you know what I mean? Like when you're making anything from scratch, it's just like a blank canvas type shit. So that shit like always like challenged me to like put something on it, I guess. And I guess the creative process, I can't even think about how that began or what led me to being a creator, an artist, I guess. I would say like I had to be 16. I remember 16 because like that was the time I asked my mom to buy me like my first ever camera, and like that, I think that changed the game, because it was like a hobby at first, but as the years started going, like 17, 18, it started kicking off into something more, because I wasn't really like a social person back then, and I kind of think like I am like not as super social now, but it like made me get out of that shell. Like, you know, I liked doing portraits at the time. I was like I guess you'd say like a portrait photographer, and I enjoyed like expressions and how people looked, and that's when like that slowly developed into like other avenues, into like fashion, into like working with other brands and stuff like that. So initially like 16 like created that foothold to like go to those other like things, which led to photography and all those other ones that kept going up. I would say like I think it was just like the influences around me, like everything that was happening, because like if you really look back on like 2016, like that was like a generational moment where like not just like music but like artists, everyone was like going crazy. Like the generation of music that we have now, I think like developed 2016, and I think music played like a big part in that like inspiration. Now just thinking about it, because I'm just thinking about all the artists that were like coming out, popping up, and it wasn't even like older artists, it was just like the new generation of artists, like the Yachty's, the 21s, the Kodaks finally being relevant, like the Uzis, like that. I think that influence of seeing like people almost my age at the time, around my age at the time, like influenced me to like think like I can, like if they could do it, why can't I, type of thing, you know? And it just like, I guess it sparked like a challenge in me, and like me, like I look toward challenge. Like I feel like I live through challenges, and this is like something that like I'm weirdly addicted to. Like I just want challenging things like to just do. So I thought like the challenge of being to that level, like what can I do? Like how can I make it my own way, the way that they did, type thing. So it's just like, I think, yeah, 2016 was definitely influential as fuck to me. Like it definitely, getting that camera, being able to like produce my own vision, my own visual, like it like excelled. It like boosted like my mental and like how I thought. Yeah, I was actually inspired by this one photographer. It was like a series of portraits, like a style of portraits that they did. And I was trying to like recreate that my own way, because if like there was like a portfolio or just like a slideshow or little pieces of images to show like the style of my photography, like that, like it was just like expressionless, you know what I mean? Like it was like there was no smile, the eyes were just straight to the camera type of thing, and it's like all you can really go off is like what they're wearing, their background, like their facial features, like that kind of thing. So that was low-key like really, I guess like the first kind of thing I wanted to do was recreate that style of like portraiture, and the first project was kind of that. And that was kind of like a stepping stone in how I kind of developed into like most of the relationships with who I have now, like you and a lot of other people I've taken photos of. Right now, really it's just like life, really. Like in a way there's like the process of like my creativity where, you know, it develops into cake, and my own creative processes, and then there's just like life. So like what I'm working on right now is like really figuring out how to like balance both of those aspects of myself, and really think about how to kind of elevate those things at the same time without leaving one of them behind. Cake, man, cake, it's not the cake that you eat, but it's more than what it is. It's really something that I came up with back in the grade school days, not too long ago, but the grade school days, and it was just like I felt like it was always like the left side of my brain. You know how like people say like, you know, each side of your brain develops like two different types of ways of thinking and stuff like that. So I always thought that cake was like that left side, that creative side, that like little bit of like when I was doodling in school on the notebooks, or like I would go home and go on Photoshop and just start making things, like, you know, that was cake. It really developed into like a thought process, an idea, and then now it's sort of turned into like a brand, but more or less like it has like a name now, like an entity, like it's supposed to be like its own body of work. So cake is just like really like that left side of me that has that creativity. What led after that was I think the development of like the actual brand of cake, like cake actually being a brand, being like a physical thing you could like touch, type of thing, like that is when like the development of it actually began. And when that came around, it was more or less like me just jotting things down on a notebook and like hoping that I had enough bread to like really follow through with what I can like create. And at the time, like in beginning, you kind of just like, it really is just kind of like figuring out how to actually do it, like how it actually works, because you can like type up like how to make a shirt on the internet and it'll just take you to some like generic t-shirt shop. You put a design on it and it's like $30 plus shipping. Like, yeah, like that's, you kind of think about it deeper once you look into it. You're like, how do you actually like develop from this? Like, how can you actually create something from this brand, not just like revenue wise, but like the brand itself? Like, that's just one part of it. And that became like the thought process after the photography. Like, how am I gonna make cake like that global, not, I wouldn't say global, but how would you, like, I was just trying to make cake something more than what it was, like elevate it from the paper. Like, I guess people ask me like, where do I want cake to be, or like what's cake, or what do I want to do with it? Like, honestly, I just want it to be like more than what it is. And I guess what that means is like maybe seeing like someone on the street wearing it, and like I don't even look for it in the sense of like, oh, I want the whole world to wear it. It's just like I have such like minimal like requirements to like feel that like success. Really, like, I would think just like first you just need to have like a solid income. I feel like if you can just hold something down, I think the rest would be a little easier. Like it just really depends, honestly, like on everyone's situation too. Like, some people are living different than everyone else. Like, everyone has different responsibilities, different kinds of workloads, and sometimes people rely on them, and like there can be multiple factors. So I would think just having something stable, sitting down on something, whether it makes you happy or not, it's like, I would think about it like my process right now, because like, if we're being real, I don't think no one wants to be working like no normal job. Everyone wants to be doing like their own thing type shit. So in reality, like, hold something down solid, and then just use that to fuel your vision. Use that to fuel what you want to make. Everyone can do it. I don't think like it's impossible, really. Like, when everyone says like you can do it, put your mind to it, you can do it, it's true. It's just like they never tell you that it comes with like all the work and effort and challenges and obstacles that come with that. And that's, everyone's different. Everyone has like different obstacles. Definitely financial, bro. I think that's like something that you just have to expect, like when you're trying to create a brand, like when you're trying to create something in general. Like, even though like the creative process and like actually making what you want to make matters, like there's always that like wall, and it's the financial wall. It's like, how are you going to like sustain this like business, pretty much? Like, how are you going to like allow it to make you money, but how are you going to keep putting money into it and like developing what you want to make? And I guess that varies like in every person's endeavor. Like, someone could be trying to make music. Like, how are you going to devote studio time? How are you going to devote getting there with gas and all that stuff? Those are like little factors like you have to put in. So like the process of that was just very like intricate, figuring out like, what do I need to like the fucking decimal, like the 0.0, definitely it's so much like willpower, really. You gotta like wake up every day like wanting to do that. Like, I don't think it's like ever gonna come easy to anybody. Like, it really doesn't just like fall in your lap, no matter how much people want it to. Like, I've been guilty of it, like taking time away from projects and like forgetting about them and putting them on the shelf and stuff like that. But like, really the progress is going to come from the desire. So your desire is just as strong as like what you want. So let's just say like you're trying to make your brand worldwide. If you're only like putting like 50% into it, like it's not even gonna get out of the county. You know, like you have to really like put the work in, and that's something like I'm still trying to like get myself to do, because it's like super hard, especially when what we were talking about earlier, like getting that, like sometimes you have to get income, sometimes you have to get like certain things, people rely, all that stuff. Like those can be challenges that stop that motivation of like getting to that goal that you have. So I would say just waking up every day, like having to do that, that's your goal. Like you can't change it. You can't, like, it has to be like something you have to like intertwine into like your everyday schedule. You have to just, it has to be like a routine. Just how you brush your teeth, take a shower, you gotta work on that brand, you gotta work on that design, get that marketing, you know. Like, and for me, it's like I don't even really like do that in that process, to be honest. Like that's a process that I'm trying to like force myself to do. So it's like in my designs, it really goes based off like what I'm feeling, what I see or what inspires me. Like, and usually it's like either looking at like architecture, looking at like other brands, trying to see like their aspects and what they do, like seeing like international brands, how they like interpret certain things and stuff like that. Like that goes into it. But if I don't like dedicate the time to do it, all it is just gonna be in my head, like an idea. It'll never like formulate into something for real or like an actual thing. My dream is really to just like hold it down, like for everyone. Like I guess like in my situation, like I'm like more of like a provider and at this time, so it's like a lot of people like look at me to like fulfill certain needs and certain things. So my goal, like everything, like selfish as it sounds, like it's just to like hold it down, like to just have everything like in check, be like that person that can provide for everyone. And how that translates into like what I do like creatively, like really, you know, I would want fucking storefront of Cake down Dixie, like, you know, where everybody can see it, like that. Those are things that like I can dream of, like pop-ups, doing that, like being like a staple in the city, you know, being that like homegrown brand that like you could just pull up and chill and like skate in the back or something like that, like just some really calm things. Like it really isn't like no own a corporation and be like the biggest fucking brand in the world, like not really. Like I think like for me as a person, I kind of have everything I already need, to be real. So for me, it's just like my own success to build upon for my future. I would say Steve Jobs. He definitely inspired in like the sense of the simplicity, like his creative process, just how he developed his products, how he thought, and also like the kind of person he was. You know, he was an innovator. He really pushed that forefront for technology in a more like accessible way, you know, because, you know, at his time computers were like the size of like cabinets, and they were absurd. So he literally created what we have right now, like, and everyone has in their pockets. And I think that simplicity is definitely a key in like how I try to create and all my designs and what I do. I say the next person, a little cliche, but I'll say like my mom. You know, like my mom is really like that person that I think like developed this whole like grind, this whole like, I don't know, like her, I think from her like that I take is like the work ethic, like the never give up like type of attitude, like nothing can like really stop you, you know, like you could do anything you want to do type thing. Because that lady, like, you know, is the most inspiring person I know. Like she came up from nothing and like overcame like a lot of challenges in her life, and at that time, like being around, it was just like inspiring to see someone to persevere through a lot of like hardships and hard times still to this day. And I think she like really develops that like hardworking mentality, like, you know, just never giving up attitude type thing. I would say another inspiring or influential person probably has to be Earl. Like just Earl, probably another cliche too, but he just like has that vibe, like the vibe that you don't really need to be like that guy. You don't really need to be like that person. It's like the same essence of like a Frank. Like you're there. Once you solidify yourself like in your art form or what you do, you're there. It's like you're in concrete. You like wrote your name in concrete. You're there forever. So like in a sense, like meshing those two people, they have that like aspect of like the creative process that I want, where they can make anything and it's what sounds good to them, and it's still amazing. And it's like two parallel artists where they're doing the same thing. They're just like creating and ducking off, and they need that like mental break. And that's, I don't know, like that's also a key thing too. We can get into that too, the mental health and all that stuff. Like that's real, and especially in like artists, I think it's something that's important, because artistic people, like they're like their worst critics, you know what I'm saying? Like they beat themselves up the most. So it's like, yeah, that's a key thing. I'd say any creator or any like artist that's like about mental health, you know, that's also influential. You know, I think also another person I want to say, you, my guy, Sean Buck, El Camino Black, very inspirational, very influential. I think the moment that like I met you, I kind of just saw like what you were, like, you know what I mean, what you were about. It was like transparent, you know what I mean, like there was nothing really hiding like what your goals were, what you like your vision was, you know, like you put it out there because it's something that you're passionate about, it's something that you believe in. And I think that's what flocks like people to like the movement, the vibe, like, you know what I mean? It's like you just want to create, you just want to like benefit everyone else, and that's just like influential to me, because it's like it makes me want to create for everyone else, for the people, for everyone around us. And every time I see you supporting the city, doing shows, popping up everywhere, like that's crazy, bro. Like I want to be like that one day. So there you go. It's pretty tough right now, to be honest. Like it's definitely challenging with like the things that I'm going through. Like I said earlier, like being sort of like a provider, you know, I'm only like 23, so like, you know, people don't really be having like, you know, this like the Garden of Eden at 23 is different. Like it's like a pressure, a different kind of pressure, when like there's already like natural pressures that I'm going through like in my life already. So my mental state at the moment, definitely like in the middle, you know, like there's been like dark times, there's been good times too, and neither of them outweigh each other, and those are just based off like my own experiences. But mental state at the moment, you know, it's mid, but I think it's very important to try to keep that shit up. You know, you don't want to be stuck in like those abysses, those like just be down there. Like, nah, been there, done that. You know, I would say like I support that, the awareness of it. You know, I think everyone should have someone to talk to at least, you know. And if you don't, like therapy, I don't like underlook therapy. I actually support it. I'm actually trying to so get therapy. So I think everyone just needs someone to talk to, and sometimes talking to like their people, their family members, is not like the best thing to do. Sometimes they don't really support it or help with it, but there's always like people to talk to. And I think like with the hotlines and all that stuff, and I think anyone really, I think just try to like talk to somebody if you're feeling down, you know. Just tell them how you feel, and it don't even have to be like something like serious, you know. Like you could just say, I'm not feeling well. I think anyone could cheer someone up. Don't give up on yourself. You know, like everyone has the ability to be whatever they want to be. I don't think anyone should like limit themselves to whatever, because we're all like a piece of the universe, low key. Like if you want to get deep into that, like look into some Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know what I mean? Like we're all the universe type thing. And I think everyone has the ability to do whatever they want to do, you know, and be who they want to be, and no matter who you are, where you are, you know, I think everyone should have that ability. It's like the humanitarian thing, like everyone's a human, you know, we all have a heart, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. I think no matter what, just don't give up on yourself, like believe in yourself, surround yourself with good people, you know, that's a key thing. Make sure you're around people that want to see you achieve those things, you know, because sometimes people just, you know, they don't really look for the best in you. They just want like what's right there, you know, and they don't think about your goals or your visions. So I would say just surround yourself with the right people that want to help you achieve your goals and stuff. So 2023, I'm excited, honestly. Like, I think it's gonna hold something like new. Honestly, the past 4 years for me have been pretty ass in the sense of like my family not very good, so that is improving now, so looking forward to that, and you know, improving like those little things, like being more oriented with the fam, oriented with myself, you know, trying to like love myself and not beat myself up as much, be my like worst critic, you know, try to look at my work and say, you know, like this is good, I believe in it, get it out there. 2023, you're gonna see Cake in a different way. I don't know, like I really want Cake to be like everywhere, even though like I don't want it to, which is weird. Like I want it to be everywhere. I want, like, there's this, I'm gonna just say it in the camera, but this is just an idea I want to do. So like I want to get like a giant, you know, those like posters that like they have the adhesive backing and you just like stick it on a wall and you like go like that. I want to get like a giant banner and put it like under these like bridges, you know how they have the poles and stuff, like put it right there so it looks like, I don't know, you're just like, I want to brand, like I want to learn how to brand Cake more, like I want to learn how to market Cake more. I want it to be out there because, you know, I send like ideas to you, I have friends and I send it to them and they're just like, yo, this is good, this is fire, and I'm just like, man, like, all right, like if y'all think it's fire, you know, it gets me excited to think like, you know, a bunch of other people are gonna think it's cool too. So Cake, also in the sense of like fashion, like I've been really getting into that, like the idea of it and just like the creative process of the fashion, you know, world, and developing like a brand as well. Another one, it's called Number 2, and it's gonna be nice. Like I want it to be something crazy, like handmade, some really good like fabrics, everything really fresh, really different, you know, something different. Create like a sort of like fashion kind of vibe over here, you know, because there's not much, you know, a lot of people mainly around here into like the music and stuff, so seeing like some kind of fashion thing pop up, I think it'll be fresh and new. I think everyone will like it. I think low-key, like part of me is like kind of scared, you know, like kind of nervous, because that, like, I guess just like looking at how other creators and brands and other like companies develop, it's not like, it's like a team effort, you know what I'm saying? There's some sort of like cooperation between others, because you can't just, like, I feel like personally I don't have the ability to take it to that next level because I don't have the knowledge or know how to do like certain things when it comes to like mass marketing on like social medias, or like, or having the connection to the plug to like mass produce a product, you know. Those are things like I feel like that I lack at the moment, and personally I think that's what probably sets me back in the sense of like my ideas. Yeah, they're like above and beyond, like they're just like crazy. Like I want to like plaster the city in cake, like, you know what I mean, like put it everywhere. I want to like do like a promo video shoot and just have people throwing cake at each other, you know what I mean, like something different, like fresh up, like that'd be different, it'd be crazy. So it's like those are the ideas that like I want to like just explode with, but it's like the little things like that you need to actually do to gain that engagement, gain the, you know, the viewership, the audience. So I think personally I lack those abilities, and that's what's probably setting me back to myself. But at the same time, maybe I'm just not utilizing my resources to the fullest, and that could also be a setback too. So I think like I'm fearful of like failure. That's like definitely like deeply rooted, I feel like, because it's just like going back to like being raised as like a jit, like that was just like a main thing. I never wanted to fail type of thing. Like I had high expectations set for myself like as a child, so like failure was just like never an option to me. So like when I encounter failure when it comes to like what I do, it definitely is like a shutdown mechanism for me. Like it makes me like just revert back to that like child mindset where like if I fail, it's like I lost, like game over type thing. But I've been realizing and starting to get a better understanding that, you know, failure is just like the process of learning, the process of development, and failure is what leads to better creation, better, you know, a better foot forward. So, you know, fear of failure is definitely deeply rooted, but it's real. I think a lot of people can relate to it. And I think it's like the main thing is just balance, bro. Like figuring out like how to balance that all and still be like sane, like still be like in the right mindset. Cause I don't know, dude, like personally, like I've been through a lot of loss recently. Like my grandpa passed away this year and my grandma passed away this year. Not this grandma, but my grandma in DR, she passed away. And it's just like every year it felt like I was like losing something. So I don't know, like that kind of like just dug itself into my brain, like the thought of like losing, you know what I mean? It's just like, fuck, I haven't even like really like healed or gained any closure because my pops also passed away too. So it's like there's like so many things, like it's just like a domino effect, and I never really had like a second to just like take it in and accept and understand like what happened. So like really, that's why like 2023 I'd be like smiling, I'm so excited, because it's like I look forward to like hopefully not experiencing those things again, and hopefully like those things can just be something in the past and I can finally like create something new for the future, like with a whole new fresh like mindset. So it's crazy, bro. Like honestly, I think it was one of the shows that you were hosting. I'm not too sure which one, or I don't know, but it was on the 28th of September, and that shit was crazy, bro. I was about to do a cake pop-up. I was gonna pull up over there. I had like posted a thing about it, everything, and that was the day my dad passed away, bro. And it was crazy, bro, because it like literally shut me down, like mentally, bro. I had like stacks of cake shirts ready to go, bro, and like the news just hit me, and it just like crushed it. It like I just like kind of just like put the cake shirts in the closet, and I just fucking forgot about it. You know what I mean? Like that shit was just like, it changed it. So when it was like the next year that my grandpa passed away, it's like, bro, like again, I'm having to like deal with like a different kind of like stress and like different kind of like weight on my shoulders, and that changed it. So like, you know, this crib that we're here at right now, the Garden of Eden, like this is like one of my pressures now. Like this is like a spot that I have to hold down with all those other like things that are like rolling in my mind, plus like my grandma and all that stuff. So like it just like, it's like a scale literally for like a Libra. I was born in October, so I'm a Libra, but it's like a scale of that, and it's like how I think I literally mentioned it in the beginning, the creative and then the life. Like that's literally my scale, literally my problems right now, like life or creativity and like my personal endeavors. Like I'm literally going through those things right now, and it's like trying to find the balance. Like that's the key, finding the balance to yourself. Like, and if you're able to balance those things, like whatever they are, and for me it's like creative process, myself, and life, I think then that's when I'm going to be able to like really push through, really tap into like that take over the world type vibe, you know. But it's like those challenges, like going through them day to day is different, right? Man, I just want to say I appreciate you for coming out here. Really appreciate you for chatting it up, chopping it up with the boy. You know, you're welcome over here anytime, bro. Yo spot, my spot. Shout out to RTV, shout out Respect the Vibe. You know, they're coming big next year. Do not sleep on these boys, right? Do not sleep on this man. Alright, he's coming to take over the town. He's gonna be running this shit one day. You know, mad love to everybody. You know, that's it. This is Sage. Look forward to some Cake in the future. Becoming different. West Palm Beats, this is for you.